Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Jedd Fisch, the Washington Huskies, one of those teams that not garnering a ton of national media attention, but have gotten off to, quite a good start in this transfer portal window, most notably earlier today, landing the commitment of former Kansas State tackle Carver Willis. And two reasons why this stands out. One, it's really dang hard to find starting caliber tackles in the transfer portal, really for two reasons. One, there's just not many starting caliber tackles that enter the portal. Number two, every program across the country is looking for those kind of guys. And so Washington locking up one of the better tackles in this transfer portal early, I think is massive. Number two, and this is something that's really impressed me with Jedd Fisch, especially as a new head coach at Washington, doing a really good job keeping together this roster. This is not something that a lot of people talk about during the transfer portal cycle. Everybody's so concerned about what new faces are we bringing into the program. And you see programs kind of forget about taking care of their good players on this roster, keeping them on the team for 2025. You look at Washington, especially with the new coaching staff, they've done a really good job keeping some of the best players at Washington, which I think matters. And it's not necessarily the flashiest thing when you're talking about a ton of players on the move nationally. That matters when you're trying to build a program up. And you look at Jedd Fisch from a roster management standpoint, since he's gotten to Washington, his first full class in 2025, that was a top 25 class out of the high school ranks. And now you're supplementing in the transfer portal and you're supplementing it with players you need to fill your roster with, right? Well, the one thing we've always talked about with Washington is line of scrimmage play. We don't have that many question marks about Jedd Fisch getting the best out of quarterback play. You got a dog in Demond Williams. We know he can develop wide receivers. I think this Washington team and largely the success that I think Jedd Fisch will have at Washington is probably contingent on, can we get that line of scrimmage play right? Carver Willis is a damn good start. Want to get into Carver Willis, talk about what he brings to Washington. Now, before we get into it, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the Washington fans, a lot of which have been rocking with the boys for 12 months since we were talking about Jedd Fisch taking over and getting active in the portal 12 months ago. I can't thank you guys enough. It's been a blast talking this program. The support means the world. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot more commitments to talk about over the next couple of weeks. Without further ado, let's get into Carver Willis. Now, again, where it starts for me with Carver Willis, starting caliber tackle at the Power 4 level. Really hard to find. A lot of the starting caliber tackles that we see in the transfer portal right now are G5 guys, and that's not a shot at G5 guys. There's a lot of G5 guys that jump up to the Power 4 level, do a really good job. But for Carver Willis, it's good to know you're getting a starter that's shown he can be a starter at the Power 4 level. He's up to around 305 pounds as well. Really good athlete. And I think he can do good at the second level. And we all know Washington, they want to run in a lot of different ways. Having athletic tackles that can climb up to the second level, that certainly matters. Only gave up one sack in pass protection this year in the Big 12. At the end of the day, and this is something we were talking about the same thing 12 months ago for Jedd Fisch, it's about building that baseline depth along the line of scrimmage, that competitive depth. Carver Willis unquestionably brings that to Washington. And another one that kind of went under the radar because it was kind of just like a flip back in a sense, Gary and Hatchett coming back to Washington. Yeah, a healthy Gary and Hatchett to me is a starting caliber offensive lineman on the inside. I think he gives us some versatility, center guard. Whether he starts or not is probably a little bit more contingent on if he can stay healthy. I think a lot of Washington fans are hoping for that. Again, at the end of the day, Carver Willis, Gary and Hatchett, those are two like high quality line of scrimmage players you're bringing in. And so all of a sudden you're starting to build it up and look at that offensive line room and say, hey, we got 7, 8 guys that we might feel comfortable starting every single Saturday, which is how you want it to look. And I'm not sure it totally looked like that for Jedd Fisch in 2024, which is not a surprise because he took over in a really weird situation, right? Kalen DeBoer leaves late, didn't have a ton of time to get his transfer portal class in last year. Now we're going to see Jedd Fisch operate with all the time in the world to get this transfer portal class right. A couple other targets I want to just buzz by really quick. Jere Bledsoe, So I'm not too familiar with Jedd Bledsoe. My brother is. He watched a lot of Texas football and said, hey, Jedd Bledsoe is kind of an intriguing guy. One four-star prospect out of the state of Texas in 2022. He's going into year 4. A guy that didn't play a ton for Texas. Texas has one of the better interior defensive lines that we see in the country back-to-back years. A little bit of a smaller defensive lineman at 6'4", 290, but challenges, and this is my brother's words here, challenges offensive linemen from an athletic standpoint. Probably going to be a little bit more of a 3-tech, can get some penetration, can give you some juice in the pass rush. Look, Jedd Bledsoe, not a ton of snaps under his belt his first 3 years at Texas. I'm not sure if we're going to hold that against him because he's been playing behind some legitimate NFL guys at Texas. He very well could be a very solid player for Washington. More importantly, continuing to build that depth. He's going to take a visit to Washington this weekend. Another guy that I kind of like, Cade Eldridge, transferring out from USC, obviously former Washington kid out of high school. Another quality name for Jedd Fisch and the Washington Huskies to go after. We're going to see Jedd Fisch in Washington, I think, ramp it up over the next couple of weeks. And again, why it maybe has been a little bit quiet is I think they're making sure we're taking care of our roster in 2020, our guys that we have on our roster, making sure the guys that we like are taken care of so they're on our team in 2025. Once we take care of our own backyard, now we go to the transfer portal and start bringing in some new faces. It's going to be fun. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.